Welcome to another episode of Two Old Geeks Talking. Now on the World Wide Web.
Hey, welcome back to Two Old Geeks Talking. I'm Rob.
And I'm Trace.
And today we will be discussing Fire Force.
Fire Force. Let me tell you what I know about Fire Force. Nothing.
Yay! Because I knew that this topic would be way outside your wheelhouse, which I say that.
Yeah.
And then we went out to eat earlier and you started talking about a freaking anime, which blew my damn mind. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I've been watching Vinland Saga. It's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason we're talking about an anime today is because I had went and watched Thunderbolts. Mm-hmm. And I was totally annoyed by it because it started out with people that had some crappy backgrounds, and I was expecting them to arc and be in a better place by the end of the movie, and they really weren't. Yeah, and there was only one character, Red Guardian, who, he said that, he was happiest in his life when he was literally serving society, when he was saving the world.
That's good.
And that's what I want out of a superhero movie. I want a hero. I want to walk out of the theater and I want to be pumped up.
Yeah.
I want something that motivates me, inspires me, not something that's like, yeah, the world sucks and it's going to continue to suck. Yeah, I want something to push me.
So while we're talking about, I know we're talking about Fire Force.
Fire Force.
And but what would you give Thunderbolts 1 to 10?
Cinematically, a little great. Acting, great. Storyline, the villain, not enough of him in the movie. Yeah. It was kind of a come and go. They did not touch on Sentry the way they should have. And it was kind of a come and go kind of thing, and I was not impressed. So I would give it maybe 5.5, maybe 6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just asking. Okay. So tell me about.
So wait a second. So anyway, we'll get there. So anyway, I was talking to one of my friends and basically verbatimly saying what I just said to you guys.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, let me turn you on to a story. You want a story about a hero, somebody whose their whole existence is about being a hero and how they evolve into that hero, then you need to watch Fire Force. Robert Cooksey hooked me onto this. Love your book. Dude, he showed me this, and it is a kick-ass story.
Oh, yeah?
It is a kick-ass story. So
it started out as a manga, right?
Right, exactly. Started out as a manga. I'm going to butcher some of these Asian names. If you're Asian, I apologize. I am from a redneck from the center of Kentucky. So
that's
he
right.
does
They
good.
probably can't pronounce Billy Bob. Or Bubba.
Somebody today couldn't even pronounce Robert. So anyway.
They can't say Pepsi. I go to the Chinese restaurant, they say Pepsi.
So anyway, the writer and illustrator of the manga was Atsushi Ohkubo or something like that.
I think you got it right.
Yeah, well, we're going to hope. If y'all can write that out phonetically for me. I know phonetically is a big word, but if you can write that out for me, I would appreciate it. So he wrote and illustrated the book. It started out in a magazine called Kadashi Shoni Manga Weekly magazine or something like that.
Zentai.
Right. So
it was like a strip in a magazine?
Right. It started out as a strip in this manga magazine, and it started in 2015 to 2022, and they had like 34 volumes. Now, before they even got to that, they were putting them together and making them into a manga.
Yeah.
And the anime even started before 2022.
Yeah.
And so, because it got to such popularity from just being in this magazine. So I want to give you all information that you can't get normally anywhere else from watching things. So that
Well,
might
anything you give me about Fire Force is going to be information I didn't have.
right. So that's how it basically got its start. And the premise of the story is you have these superhuman firefighters that battle supernatural fire entities called infernals. And what infernals are is people that spontaneously combust.
Yeah, and they don't kill them?
Well, the thing is when they spontaneously combust, no, they don't always die. They
Sometimes turn into monsters?
Right. So basically, you have.
That's original.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder if there's any actual firemen that enjoy Fire Force. Because I mean,
I don't know. So, like in this anime and in the manga, you have a fire department.
Yeah.
These are called the Fire Force departments, and they fight the infernals.
The supernatural.
They come in and take out the supernatural. And I say take out, but they say retire or help them pass on because it is really spiritually based anime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So what I didn't know, or kind of had a clue, that this is like a prequel to an anime called Soul Eater, which is really popular. I have not watched.
Yeah.
I'm not big into the
I don't know
anime.
anything about that either.
So I'm hoping that at the end of this, I'll get to there. Right now, I'm sticking it to season 1. I know there's season 2, and they're working on releasing season 3 now.
Yeah.
On Crunchyroll. But right now, I'm kind of sticking as close to season 1 because that's what I've watched. I don't want any spoilers.
Everybody probably knows about Crunchyroll, but say a little bit about Crunchyroll just in case.
So Crunchyroll is a subscription-based app or subscription-based thing to where
Streaming service
to where you can watch different animes for a cost, or you can watch it for free if you don't mind reading subtitles. I can't read subtitles for shit.
But I mean, sometimes, like, mine's ad-based. So, I mean, like, when I watch Vinland Saga, they have quite a few commercials in there. But I grew up watching commercials, so it don't bother me.
I'm okay with commercials, too.
But you say Fire Force is on Crunchyroll?
Right. Fire Force is on Crunchyroll. Basically, that's the only place I can watch it. I've not found it anywhere. You can barely find any clips from it anywhere else, either.
Well, if you like it that much, when I get done with Vinland Saga, I'll try it out.
Okay. So, I also like stories. One reason I like Star Wars and I like Lord of the Rings is because there's so much history behind what you're actually watching.
Yeah.
And to learn about that stuff and find out about that things. So, what I had found out about this was 250 years ago, there was this great cataclysm. And I bet this is like 50 years after that. This is called Solar Year Zero. And during the cataclysm, many nations were lost. It's like a post-apocalyptic kind of story in a way.
Yeah.
And you don't find out about that until like episode 13.
Gotcha.
You're thinking this is happening in the modern world, but it's not. This is like
post-apocalyptic.
But they have been able to return the world back to normal in certain areas, and I'll get into that for a second. So the survivors made refuge in the Tokyo Empire. And because there was these religious guys called, again, help me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, they're like Raffles or something like this. And they had found a source of fire that led to the main source, which caused the cataclysm. It was like the source fire that created the earth.
Okay.
And they started a holy religion called the Soul Temple.
Yeah.
And so eventually they started working with the Hajime Industries to create and develop a thermal energy of a Mars. Let's see. I'm going to see if I'm going to pronounce this right. Amasturish or Amasteru or whatever
You got it exactly right.
Yeah, basically it's a giant power plant that's based after this flame.
So that one flame powers
This flame,
all the
I don't
power
know. I don't know
plants?
what's inside of it, but
Okay.
that's where they got it. These monks brought it there, and it's called the Ebola, Ebola flame. Now this particular, and I'm sorry that I kind of butchered that a little bit because it's actually the name of a Japanese goddess, sun goddess.
Yeah.
A lot of people who watch the anime might not know that, but you know, I'm a geek and I look into every freaking little thing.
So if there's anybody that like goes to the Sun Goddess Church on Sunday, they might be offended now.
Because I pronounced their name wrong, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. It's all love right here, I promise. So in the year 198, because they pretty much started things all over, they started making these special fire brigades, and they were called the Fire Force. And they combined with the Holy Church, they combined humans that had power kinetic energies or powers with people from the Holy Temple.
Okay.
And
Do they got cool uniforms?
their uniforms are almost like fireman uniforms.
Seriously? They got the red hats and the numbers on the front?
You cut me off.
Okay.
Except for they're all in black. Their uniforms are all in black, and they have these blue stripes which are reflective and almost seems to glow.
Yeah.
So, and they actually call them. They'll say, "Oh, the blue stripes are here. The blue stripes are here." So people that don't know that,
That's the way our firemen should dress.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
it'd be a cool ass suit. I actually looked to see if I could find a costume so I could at least wear one of the jackets here. And I was going to get, but yeah, I didn't have time to get that here. But
Yeah, a lot of that
maybe
stuff's made overseas.
Maybe
and
by
it takes
season
forever.
2 or season 3.
Yeah.
You know, I can have the whole costume.
Yeah, and the tariff war will be over by the end, so it won't cost you twice as much.
So there's 7 different stations, 8 now, because the 8th one was created to basically investigate the other 7. All of the fire departments or all the fire brigades or companies or however you want to say it run independently of each other. They don't work together. And they all have, like I said, they have the humans that have pyrokinetic abilities. They have the Holy Church, and most of them have a science team, which comes from this Hachima Industries. And so they're all trying to figure out what's causing the spontaneous combustion, what's causing the infernals. But the problem is they're not sharing none of the information with the other people.
Yeah. Kind of like the FBI, CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't share.
So Station 8, and you don't find this out until later, they actually were kind of put in charge of investigating the other departments because they want to know what they know. They want it to get out to where other people can use it, maybe work together. And so that's kind of like their go. It's like a story inside of a story inside of a story inside of a story. Let's see. So there are the pyrokinetic, or the people that have pyrokinetic abilities. You have different gens. They're called generations. So your Gen 1 is the people that spontaneously combust. You know, they're the ones, and when they do, you know, at first you're watching it, they just become mindless monsters, and they have to be put down. And
like fire zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they flaming? Are they like on fire?
Oh no, they're flaming.
Yeah.
But the thing is there's the infernals, then there are artificial infernals, are artificially created because there is a bug. Like, they keep it in a little glass bottle and they bring it up and they put it against you and it shoots into your body and turns you into an infernal.
Well, that's rude.
Yeah, the bug's basically from their version of hell.
Oh, okay. All right.
There are demons.
Yeah.
The demons, when a person turns to infernal, you can tell them because they got the big horns that come off their head.
Yeah.
And they're more to themselves, more articulate.
Yeah.
They have more of a conscious. In the anime, from what I've seen so far, they can get tall and lengthy, different sizes, different strengths. Now in the manga, I know that they can get as big as a skyscraper. They can be as big as a kaijin. They can be Godzilla size.
Yeah.
But in the cartoon at the moment, they're keeping them relatively handleable. And in the manga, another part of the Gen 1 would be what's called doppelgangers. And in doppelgangers, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, this isn't part of season 1. So spoilers, but this is like 10, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Come and take your place.
Everything's spoiler for me.
Yeah.
I haven't heard
They these are demons that come and take your place. They take
Okay.
Tracy's place. They look like Tracy. They sound and smell, act like Tracy.
Poor thing.
And they take your place. Now, Generation 2. There are people who have the ability to control and bend existing fire to their will.
Okay.
So, like if there's a flame there, they can control it,
Yeah.
and they have different levels of control of that flame. Gen 3 can literally create flames. One of our main protagonists is a Gen 3. He shoots flames from his feet. Another one can create a plasma sword.
Just from his feet?
Yes.
Does he go around barefoot all the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. We'll get into him here in a second.
Your feet sweat a lot.
Yeah.
But you can shoot fire from them.
If they set on fire, it probably would kill the stench a little bit. It would be nice. Like, I'm going to burn that stench off. Would you,
I'm sorry.
Robert's around. Is that barbecue? No, Robert's around. Gen 4, let's see. So they have contact with the Abala burst,
Okay.
the Abala flame itself,
Okay.
the creating flame, which is the thing, the flame that created the earth. So, and by having that, it makes them a little bit stronger. They can connect with other people who have the Abala force. They can speak to them mentally, and
Yeah.
and there's a creation. So,
it stops at Gen 4?
as to what I know,
Yeah.
there might be.
There'll be a Gen 5. There has to be.
Oh no,
I mean, as a series, because
dude,
you'll get so
like I
accustomed.
said,
It probably started out with Gen 1 and 2 and 3, and then later on in the show they introduced Gen
Right.
4, and then so later on they'll introduce
I mean,
Gen 5.
episode 1, you see a Gen,
Yeah.
Gen 1, Gen 2.
But
and
do they
Gen
do a
3.
good job? Do they do a good job world building? So in other words, like if I didn't want to do any back, I like to sit down and enjoy a show without doing research first.
Right.
So could I sit down and enjoy the anime without knowing anything about Fire Force and get caught up on the whole world and everything to do a good job of building the world?
100%.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, 100%. Like if you start at the beginning, you'll be right in.
Cool.
From episode 1. It kind of
Cool.
now.
Because a lot of shows don't do that.
There's, like I said, you don't find out that there's certain things until like season. Like I didn't know that there.
You don't get everything. Yeah, in
right.
episode 1.
But
yeah.
as far as setting up the characters, the world, and everything,
Cool.
yeah, it's pretty good.
A lot of good writers in Japan.
Oh.
That's one reason manga has done so well in America, is because a lot of writers we got great writers in America, but a lot of the people that are writing and actually have jobs writing for the comic book companies, they pay so little
Oh yeah.
that the good quality writers have moved on to something else. Your Marvel and DC pay so little that they don't have the cream of the crop.
Yeah, I don't know that they really treat their writers and illustrators as well as you think they do. They're
Oh,
good.
Japan?
They're good, but I think they kind of crank things out and make them meet deadlines that
Oh, yeah.
almost are unrealistic. at
Oh,
times.
really?
Yeah. And they can write a story about freaking cooking. I mean, they can take anything and make it into a
here's
somewhat plausible.
Here's what I like about manga in general. Of course, I know nothing about Fire Force, but I saw somebody did an article the other day about how pop culture has died. That in the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s, a lot of new IPs come along, but yet here in the 2020s, there's really nothing new coming along. We still got Harry Potter, this, and Marvel, that, and Star Wars. I mean, those IPs go way back. They go way back. And so So there's nothing really new being created. They're just doing sequels and prequels and reboots.
Well, I mean,
And so, that's why for like manga, you're getting something fresh. You're getting a fresh idea. Just like I know crap about Fire Force, but what you're telling me, that's like a real original story.
right.
There's nothing comparable to it.
No.
And you're getting tons of stuff like that coming out of Japan, not only in manga form, but in anime form. And so young people are drawn to that. They're tired of the old IPs,
It kind of scares me because where I have been burnt by comic book companies in the past, now I'm getting into this. My mind goes to I want the physical form. I want the manga.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
And then I'm sitting here thinking, okay, am I going to have a bookshelf just lined full of mangas now instead of comic book boxes?
My love of the
Which is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just at an age to where it's just like, am I about to go down another rabbit hole? Am I about to?
Well, I mean, if it's enjoyable, I mean, my love for the movies, the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, led me to the manga,
Right.
the Japanese comics of Lone Wolf and Cub, and so I'm really enjoying that Vinland Saga now. I'm starting to get an interest, and maybe I would pick up the first one and see what the manga is compared to the anime.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I can see where you would want to pick up a volume of Fire Force. Is
Right.
there a ton of them out there?
Oh,
Is
I'd say there have to be.
Does it have an end? Let me ask you this: a lot of stuff is ongoing, like that one step.
From what I know, there
does
is
it have
an ending because then it leads into Soul Eater. Like
Okay.
that comes to an end because at a point it has to revert into what causes Soul Eater to start being Soul
Gotcha.
Eater.
I'm a big fan of stories that have an ending. Instead of just continually going on and on and on and on and on until
Right.
you finally.
Well, I mean,
jump the shark.
in a way, this manga is going on,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like George Lucas did Star Wars,
Yeah.
and then he had to go do the prequels.
Yes.
Well, this is a better prequels. Like
Gotcha.
this writer went back and told the story leading up to
Soul Eater.
Soul Eater.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, he's doing an awesome job so far. So anyway, our main antagonist, his name is Sinra. I'm going to butcher his last name. Kuskabo or Kuskabi.
Oh,
Or
you got it,
Kuskabo?
you got it exactly right. Yeah.
He is a third gen. He's the one that can shoot fire from his feet.
Yeah.
So, as a young man, he his childhood home caught on fire, and his mother and brother perished in
Does
the
his
fire.
feet cause the fire?
So, because of the stress and anguish, it caused his powers to reveal themselves at that time.
Okay, but he didn't start the fire.
No. People
Didn't start
accused
the
him.
Fire.
But anyway, so no, he did not start the fire, but he was given the title Devil,
Yeah.
or let's see, he was given the title Devil, and also called Devil's Footprints sometimes because when he walks, it literally leaves footprints of fire.
Oh man,
Yeah. So anyway, but that's when he's
that'd be tough on carpet or hardwood.
that's when he's not in control of his fire. But anyway, he's a child, and when the fire was burning his house down, he saw one of the demons.
Yeah.
He didn't want to tell anybody because he thought
wouldn't believe him?
they wouldn't believe him.
Yeah.
And so people saw his flaming feet. They saw him standing in the ashes there with one of the original Fire Force 1, Station 1 firemen. And he has this condition, kind of like in the Joker movies, when he gets nervous or anxious, he gets this big grin on his face and he can't help it.
Yeah.
But he has like shark-like teeth,
Yeah.
so it looks like a demonic grin kind of, but it's not that he's evil. It just gives him the look of being evil. You know, you see a kid standing there with shark-like teeth with a grin up to here and flaming feet.
Yeah, that would set
Yeah.
you back a bit.
So all he can recall is from the fire is the demon and the fireman standing beside him. He remembers looking up at him, seeing the fireman's white hair, hearing his voice, and seeing the one patch, the symbol on the side that said one.
And it made an impact on him.
It made an impact on him, right. So, and that comes into play. And this is all.
It really probably didn't have a lot of job opportunities. If you have a demonic smile and flaming feet, you probably wouldn't get a job as like a Panera Bread or something. It'd probably be tough.
I don't know.
I don't know. They'd probably hire you.
Hey, Senator, can you toast my sandwich? There you go, buddy. Sorry, it smells like sweaty feet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm just trying to add something.
So anyway, 12 years pass, and he's about, I think, 17, going on 18.
Yeah.
And he ends up joining the Fire Force 8. He's coming in as a young recruit. He's not like considered a full-fledged fireman because he's young. And he meets Captain, I'm going to call him Captain Obi because that's what he's called mostly.
You know, Obi means belt in Japanese.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So he's Captain Belt.
So I contribute.
Captain Obi, but his name is Akitra Obi.
Okay.
We're going to say that was done right.
All right.
He is the leader of, or the captain of Fire Force 8. And like I said, they're made to investigate the other 7. So, one thing that was cool is, I told you that there's this religious aspect to it.
Yeah.
That when they go to retire or help pass on, because this is somebody's loved one. Like in one thing, it's somebody's
so they've
daddy.
been turned into a flaming zombie when they go to help this entity pass on to the next world.
Right. One of the things the Captain Obi tells them is to keep your weapons hidden. Don't let the family see them because that's going to upset them, which they ended up screwing up anyway. This is a respectful, holy thing that we're doing them a service by taking their family members from the suffering that they're having to deal with and helping them pass on to the flame. So there is a prayer that they say that says, the flame of breath is the soul, black smoke is the soul's release, ash is the word and art, may the soul return to the great flame. And that's when they take them out. Just as the nun in Fire Force 8, they have a nun. Mm-hmm. And just as she finished,
hot?
It's crazy. So
I just like throwing.
in all these, I'm an old man, and in all these animes, most of your characters look like kids.
Oh, do they?
So when they end up making one of these kids go from looking like a chibi child kind of thing to being voluptuous all of a sudden,
it seems odd.
it just makes you feel wrong.
I mean,
I'm sure.
And then you should.
And in a lot of these it's a fanfare kind of thing. A lot of the young men are like,
What if anybody has that prayer tattooed on them somewhere?
I don't know. But anyway, when you're done, you
I'd
say,
like to talk to that person.
they say their prayer. They're holding their hands like this.
Yeah.
Instead of like this, they're doing it like this.
Yeah.
And then you say Latum. And me being an overthinker, I had
looked it up.
I had to look. It was a word I didn't know.
Is it Latin?
I figured it was something that was.
Or is it Japanese?
Give me a second, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Calm down.
I'm so excited.
So I just assumed it was a word that came up to mean amen or rest in peace or something to that nature. But basically, La is respect for the god, the Egyptian god Ra.
Yeah.
That's
why they don't say Ra instead of La.
I don't know. And Tom comes from the word
Tommy.
Tamarui,
Yeah.
which means condolences.
So
So when they say Laudum at the end of the prayer, they're basically saying condolences from the sun.
from the sun.
From the sun god. Yeah. So
Do you say that like when you order food and they bring it out to you? You go
Laudum.
Laudum.
No.
You should keep
you got to
doing
put your
it.
thumbs together like
You should keep
you're making
doing
an
it.
upside
You
down
should keep
heart.
doing it until like one of your waiters and waitresses would be like, Fire Force!
Dude, that would be kick-ass. I mean, in a way.
Well, first of all, they'd be like, "Did you hear that guy at table 12?"
Yeah, they'd be like, what is he into? Is he going to start, like, casting circles and shit? What the hell? So anyway, as She-Ra goes on, and he's learning more about, what's going on around him.
Yeah, and as he learns, the viewer learns.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so eventually he learns that the fire at his home was not accidental. Of course he knew it wasn't his fault. He knew that it wasn't accidental because he, as a cadet, he goes to these cadet, what do you call it?
There's probably a small appliance. That's usually what starts fires.
No, like a toaster.
Yeah. That's why you
No,
should
it
always
was-
unplug those.
it was a
Coffee
demon.
makers. Oh, it was a demon?
It was a demon.
Wasn't my second guess.
So anyway, he goes to where all these cadets are kind of competing against each other. Excuse me. And he runs into the fireman that was there that day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And
Still got the one on his shoulder?
still got the one on his shoulder. He's the captain. His name is Leonard Burns.
Ooh, Burns.
Beautiful top knot, eye patch. Actually, the eye patch would be on this side. Badass mofo.
It's funny how your name's Burns and you do that job.
Yeah, right.
Like there's some people that do auto restoration here. When your car gets crashed, and their last name actually is Hatterack.
Hatterack.
Sounds like Hatterack.
Oh.
And I know a guy's a plumber.
Oh.
I know a guy's.
I've seen those commercials. I
I know
thought
a
it was
guy's
a joke.
plumber, and his last name's Brown. And so it's funny how your last name leads you into something.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
So as the anime comes to a wrap, now this isn't the whole anime. He ends up getting to talk to this Captain Burns. And Captain Burns knew the truth and never let him know. He's known him for a while. When we finally get to the end of this season 1, he's known of him and he's known him. And come to find out that the fire was actually started by what was called the White Clad. It's a cult, that a doomsday cult, who basically wants to capture 8 level 4 gens that has the Adula burst, so they can recreate the cataclysms that destroyed the earth again and re-cleanse the earth.
They sound crazy.
And basically only the strongest will survive. Basically only the demons will survive. Or the
Well, I will say this: that is an original concept.
right.
I tip my hat.
So anyway, the main cast or the main crew, there is so many characters in this anime. So I'm just going to cover the crew of Station 8.
Okay.
Because I can't get into all the villains. I can't get in. I mean, all of them have good backstories, and I know they will develop. But we're going to stick with
Station 8.
Station 8. So first is the nun. Her name is Iris. Iris, like the flower.
Iris. Gotcha.
Yeah. So she has no powers whatsoever.
Yeah. She just says the prayer at the end.
She says the prayers and she helps the people pass on. That's her.
She got a
place.
romantic relationship with
No, I don't think so. No. I think she admires him, but I don't think it's romantic.
It hasn't gone there yet.
Now she has a backstory. When she was a child, she was like an orphan, and she was being raised by the nunnery, and the nunnery ended up catching on fire, and everybody burned inside of it except for her and one of her other orphan friends, which ends up being a captain of, I think it's Station 3, maybe. She ends up being a captain there. She ends up being a villain, which ends up turning and assisting Station 8 eventually after Sinra hits her with, knocks some sense into a princess man. So every time he attacks somebody, because he wants to be a hero, he's always trying to come up with a hero name.
Yeah.
And so he was fighting her, and he's like, knock some sense into a princess man. And hits her. It worked. It knocks some sense
yeah,
into her.
yeah.
But he's always saying shit like that. So you're sitting there watching this badass freaking battle. And then all of a sudden he comes off with something like that, and you just can't help but laugh in the middle of it. And it's just like,
So he's trying to come up with his own.
yeah, he's like,
superhero.
no matter what happens, no matter how bad things get,
He's always optimistic.
He's always optimistic. He's always trying to be a hero. And eventually, in season 1, he finds out that his brother So is alive.
Yeah.
He's actually a member of this White Clad, one of the high-ranking members.
So he's going to try to save him.
He's trying to save him, and he actually gets to him and finds out that they had kidnapped him.
Yeah.
Because he had an Ebola burst.
Yeah.
His power is to be able to literally stop time.
Yeah. That's a good a good power.
But Senra eventually gets to where he can control his flames and focus them so much into one direction that he can fly through time.
Yeah.
So they have a battle, and there's a character standing there. He's one of the science researchers, and he's just seeing feet prints just show up. It's just like blinks and flashes and shit because they're fighting in between time around him.
Yeah.
It's like badass. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think they put in the budget that they did with Soul Eater into this, from what I heard. But the animation is so badass. I can't imagine how good Soul Eater must be.
Oh, really?
If they didn't have as big a budget on this, because
Now, did you watch? No, you didn't watch it in Japanese. You watched it with English.
I watched it with English.
English dub. Did the dubbing go good? Because sometimes dubbing can go real bad.
No, I thought it went good.
It
They
went
had
good?
good voice actors, and I think that they've been at this for so long.
Yeah.
They know how to translate things properly.
Good,
At least
good.
I assume.
Yeah.
So I think it's doing pretty
Yeah,
good.
we're good. Because I watched a lot of those old kung fu movies back in the 70s, and they would dub them, and man.
Oh,
it was
I'd
bad.
watch a 2-hour movie that wasn't dubbed, and then turn into a 4-hour movie because I'd have to keep pausing it so I could read.
So you read
I'm a real
subtitles.
visual person, and so I love pretty artistic stuff. So if I'm reading this, I'm getting irritated that I'm missing this. So if I'm watching this, then I'm missing that. So
Yeah.
I catch myself pausing too much, and
Kind of like talking to a girl with low cut blouse. You just don't know what to look in her eyes.
Right.
Yeah. It's
You
just,
you just end
go
up,
back and
your
forth.
neck creaks because you're sitting there trying to fight. So anyway, there's Tamaki, which is comes from Fire Force 1. She's on suspension, but she's here helping Gen 8, or not Gen 8, she's here helping Station 8. She's a 3rd Gen, and her power is, when she uses her power, she gets like these cat ears,
Yeah.
and 2 like flaming cat ears and 2 flaming tails. And I say flaming, they almost like pink plasma kind of.
Yeah.
And she like pew, 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 bounces off the wall. And
So they've got superpowers.
yeah, so yeah,
I'm glad that I don't have flaming cat ears or 2 flaming
yeah.
cattails.
One of the badass characters I mentioned before is Captain Obi. No powers whatsoever.
Captain Obi?
No powers. He's just like you and me.
Yeah.
He was a fireman.
Yeah.
There,
Is he the mentor?
he's kind of like a jock, laid back, cool kind of guy.
Yeah.
But the reason he started it and then ended up getting recruited into investigating everything else. But
Man, you're deep into this.
yeah, so basically,
You know more about this than I know about anything.
so basically, he was fighting a fire. Come to find out, it was an infernal. They call in the Blue Stripes. The Blue Stripes at that time was treating it like they didn't not have respect for anybody.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, there's 2 infernals. This one's going to wait because he ain't as many points. And he's like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, we do it in point system. The harder the demon or the harder the infernal, the more points you get. So we
Yeah.
just make a game out of it. And it pissed him off.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not the way it should be. So he decides he's going to pass this infernal, or he's going to take him out on behalf of this woman who's sitting there watching her husband just burn.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when a person turns infernal, they don't go crazy. Like this one guy, he spontaneously combusted, and he's just sitting at a table, just calm as can be. His daughter runs out, she's crying. They come in behind him, and he just looks up at them.
Have you ever seen like pictures of somebody that actually spontaneously combusted?
I have.
I saw one time where a guy spontaneously combusted on the toilet. Okay, and so
They say it's impossible.
they said, well, look, the picture was like his feet and his shoes and his socks and his legs and his knees went up to where the toilet was, and they
And
were all
everything else was
charred and
gone.
everything else was just burnt.
Right. I've seen that picture.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you pour gasoline on yourself on the toilet, set yourself on fire. it wouldn't do
Nowadays,
that.
because I looked it up,
Yeah,
because I thought this was something I seen when I was younger.
yeah.
I've heard of spontaneous combustion. So I Googled it. I was looking into
They
everything.
say it's not real.
Yeah, they're saying it's not real. There has to be some kind of external power source or inflammatory thing that's causing it. And so
Since everybody's
they
walking around,
poo-poo it off.
yeah, since everybody's walking around with smartphones with lithium batteries, we could all spontaneous combust.
Well, you know, I heard this story years ago that this guy was standing at a train station
Yeah,
and like standing there waiting for the train, and then smoke just started rolling out of his arms.
yeah.
And he started screaming, "I'm on fire! I'm on fire!" And they ended up throwing wet blankets and stuff on him. And back then they said he was getting ready to spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
That they were able to bring his body temperature down. But nowadays they poo-poo off everything, and I don't know what caused it back in the day, and why it stopped, or maybe it didn't stop.
As much video as there is now, you can't walk outside without being videotaped. If anybody spontaneously combust, you would think there'd be video of it now. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't know if it'd be cool, but it'd be kind of hot, actually.
Yeah. So anyway, let's keep going. One of
Okay.
the other characters. I don't know if you know that I'm a fan of Don Quixote.
Yes, I know that. Why would
Right.
I not know that?
Right. So Don Quixote is an older gentleman who believes in knights and chivalry, but he's got Alzheimer's.
They may not know that.
Well,
but
I'm telling them.
Yeah, but
Quit
I
inter-
know that. My gosh, you talk about Don Quixote every day.
Yeah. So anyway, he lives in his own reality, sees giants and windmills and stuff. Where there is a character in here, and his name is Arthur Boyle.
Yes.
He calls himself King Arthur, also known as the Night King.
Yes.
And that's one reason I like this character. At first, he comes off
Because he comes off like Don Quixote.
He comes off as an asshole.
Yeah.
He's like holier than better than
I've known a
that.
few of those.
Bleh.
I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, he's kind of a rival of Sinra. They're both the same age.
Yeah.
And but his power is his imagination. He sees a dove, and he, in his mind, is seeing a griffin. He sees a chameleon, and in his mind, he's seeing a dragon.
You don't do drugs?
No.
No LSD?
I don't know what's caused him, and I'm hoping eventually they'll get to his backstory a little more. But the more he gets into this imagination state, the more powerful he becomes. And he has this scabbard with this hilt. And on that hilt is nothing. But he has the ability, he's a Gen 30, to take his power and cause a flaming sword that comes out that's made of plasma.
Yeah.
Now the hilt looks like an upside down
Now,
cross.
can you kill a flaming creature with a flaming sword?
If it's plasma, you can.
Okay. Oh, well.
Because plasma will cut through metal. It cuts through everything.
Okay. All right.
So, so the more he is in his own reality, the more powerful he becomes. If you can bring him back to reality,
Yeah.
then he loses all his power.
it all.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's constantly in this dream state.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So he calls everybody princesses and Sir Knight or whatever. It's just, Yeah, but I get a kick out of him because he's like a young Don Quixote.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so there's Makia Oz, if I'm saying that right. It's a female character. She is a second gen. She has this big witch's hat that she wears, like a wizard's kind of hat, and she doesn't really create flames. She controls flames. So if there's flames around, she can move them. She can hold them at bay. So that's what she can do. She's a second gen. Now the second command at the fire station under Obi is Tahakasa, and he is a third gen. Now you'd like him. He is like John Wick and then some.
Oh, yeah?
He uses guns.
Yeah.
Now you think a firefighter using a gun is kind of crazy, but he has the power. So when the explosion that fires off the shells come out, he can control the amount of explosion in the guns. So he can take a 45 and make it just enough power come out of it to where it would knock somebody out and not hurt them. Or he could take a rifle and he can take that explosion and cause it to be 10 times stronger to where it just literally just act like a cannon and blow out the end of the barrels. So there was a gunfight in that anime that you would have been like, holy crap. He's just walking through there, pow, 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 just flipping and doing all this shit. And then he comes across this other person that is like a Gen 4. And he ends up rolling out this bag that just has barrel after barrel after barrel, because every time he was firing, it was like a freaking...
Blowing it into the barrel.
It was like a freaking tank going off. It was like, boom! It was badass, and they were underground in a train tunnel. It was amazing. I didn't know he had that in him until like there towards the last, so that was cool. Then they end up picking up Victor Leach, I think is how you say his last name. So he basically is the head of incendiary research for the Hachima or Hakama or whatever the industry. And he's eventually brought in. Station 8 doesn't have a science department. They eventually say, hey, we got a guy, we'll send you. And so he's working with them, helps develop weapons, helps them develop some of their powers, tells them how to harness some of their powers and things like that. And it seems like really cool at first, and then as it goes along, you find out that he is working with a character called the Joker. And you don't know whether the Joker is a good guy that works for the White Clan, which I don't think he does there at first, or I don't think he is. He's working against them, or if he's working with Hachima, or if he's something or somebody else. But anyway,
I've heard of the White Clan.
Have you?
Yeah. Don't they wear like sheets on their head?
No, that's a different clan.
Oh, okay.
That's a different clan.
Right.
But so anyway, I ain't gonna go into every little story line and every little thing, but it is a very, very, very interesting anime.
And the main thing is, back to your original thought, you said it was there was a lot of role models and it was inspiring.
Right. I mean,
like if somebody watched that, there's some good morality and
right,
and do-gooders.
Do-gooders, a lot of spirituality in it. There is somebody showing that they are striving past the bad things that has happened in their life, they've made a promise to make the world better.
It's admirable.
Yeah.
And that's the heroes that you and I grew up with.
Right.
I mean, when we watched a TV show or a cartoon or read a book or saw a movie, I mean, that's what, as children, when you're real impressionable and you're growing into adult, those were the toys that we bought, and I mean, so those were the characteristics and the virtues that we looked up for, and that's what you need. That's what you need for everybody. We get enough real world in the real world.
Well, I've really tried not to get spoilers to this because I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to be, I kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you all know, keep it to yourself. If you
Just
want to
don't-
tell me, if you
just
want to
don't
tell me
read the
from 1 to
comment.
10, if you want to put, hey, 10, 1, it don't get no better, to 10, it gets badass, leave a number in the comment section or something. Let me know, but don't tell me any spoilers, because I'm getting ready to start season 2.
Yeah.
They're putting out season 3 now, so
Yeah. So by the time you finish
season 1
2,
had like 25 freaking issues or
episodes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, you know, and that's something else. You know, I'm going back and watching all the Star Trek Next Generation. You know, they had like 20-some episodes. And I mean, nowadays, if you get 8 or 10,
13.
Yeah,
If you get 13,
yeah.
you think you're doing good.
yeah, you think you're getting a lot of episodes. And they say it's because of cost.
Yeah.
And but good story doesn't cost anything.
My thing is
Good story doesn't
I'd
cost
love to
anything.
have one of those Fire Force uniforms hanging in my geek room. That would just be badass.
Would you wear the Fire Force uniform? Would you like go cosplay as Fire
Dude.
Force? Is there a character that looks like
Me?
you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you're
I
not
mean,
Japanese.
I mean, the closest anime character I look like, I think there's a character in Dragon Ball that's bald.
yeah, Master Roshi.
I don't know what his name
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But anyway, no,
he,
but
like,
I'd
wears a
still,
Hawaiian
I don't
short
give a
and he's
shit
all
that
horny.
I don't look like none of them. Is that right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
maybe it's just like me.
Yeah.
No, but anyway,
I thought about cosplaying as him too.
but anyway, no, I'd still wear the uniform. I'd still wear the uniform, the big metal piece, the helmet.
And
I'd
just go to
in
the
there.
Kroger store.
No. I would go to some anime fest, or I'd just go to Comic Con, because somebody's going to see me and somebody was appreciating me. But I would alter it to where it looked better. I actually found some reflective blue tape.
The guy that suggested this to you, how old is he?
25.
25. So that's probably.
Oh, he's having a birthday this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, by the time this airs, it probably was last weekend. So happy birthday, Book. I appreciate
he'll
it,
be
buddy.
26.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I was 26. I had hair.
Right? I did too.
Yeah.
He's got a nice top.
Yeah, I
knot.
really don't miss it, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Just one more thing to
I do.
fool with.
Oh, I'd like to have a big mane.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You done?
I'm done.
All right, man. Great job.
Thanks.
I know a whole lot about Fire Force. Hope somebody asks me.
Right? You can say, yeah, I remember
I can
something.
tell them about Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. I can tell them about Obi.
Right?
I can tell them, yeah. I got
Obi's
it.
a badass.
Fire,
He is
fire
a-
feet.
He gets his shield out, puts his helmet on, and he'll fight right up against people who has powers that's 10 times power than him, and he'll still kick ass.
That's admirable.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're done. You done?
I'm done.
We're done. We are done.
We're done.
I'm empty. You can drink now. You've been talking.
Locked him.
Yeah. A lot of them. Fire Force.
Dude, I'm going to end up probably getting so much freaking different anime merchandise, it's not even